All right, here we go, everyone. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, but we're going to go ahead and review Superman Son of Kal-El number 8, part 2 of In the Line of Fire, a.k.a. Superman versus the Giant Hermit Crab. All right, so this book is going to pick up right where the other one left off. Oh, well, actually, no. It's going to pick up a little Green Lantern advert. We got a YA Green Lantern book coming along. 13-year-old Oliver Queen is about to get a crash course in being a hero. Yes, he is, because he's going to learn to be Green Arrow on an island. Moving on. Okay, so now the book picks up right where it left off. In case you weren't here in the last video, I'll post the link in the description. Superman went to fight a giant rampaging monster who, oh, gosh, I'm sorry. I forgot. We do not judge a monster just because it's a 300-foot tall hermit crab, because we don't know what's going on in that thing's heart. Superman taught us that lesson in the last issue. So a giant 300-pound friendly creature is coming, rampaging towards Metropolis, and Superman has flown off to intercept it after receiving a job offer from his boyfriend to become a cyber hacktivist along with him on a weird boat. And in the course of fighting the monster, the Gamora Corps, a group of superhumans that were sent by Henry Bendix, for those of you unfamiliar with the character, he is a character from a comic book back from the 90s called Stormwatch, which was not a DC comic book. It was a Wildstorm book, but DC has bought Wildstorm and now is awkwardly shoehorning all the characters into the DCU. So the Gamora Corps showed up, fought with the hermit crab, were basically useless. One of them died, and they ended up kind of really cheesing off the hermit crab, who we learned in the first issue is here because of global warming, and we've warmed the temperature of the water up to the point where this creature who had been asleep since the Jurassic period has woken up and is now angry. So here we go. Superman is carrying the remains of a guy named Sparks, one of the Gamora Corps. Apparently, all the Gamora Corps are basic variations of Fly Shooty characters, and this one was Fly Shoot Lightning. And he got killed by the hermit crab. And so Superman is really sad about this, and so he grabs the guy's body and commands the Gamora Corps to go to Metropolis and help the evacuation process. And Henry Bendix agrees that that's probably the best idea. This is Henry Bendix here. And he's remote controlling these guys from this chair. So he sits in the chair, he plugs in, and he controls these guys like drones. So along with his support staff, I get. So Superman flies back out to deal with the Gamora Corps, or deal with the fallout of the monster in the ocean, and the Gamora Corps start firing at the crab again. Superman once again has to remind them to stop because their weapons are pointless, and I don't know what their strategy at this point, just shoot weapons until it gets bored and dies. And then this scene happened, and I had to read this scene multiple times to try to figure out what had happened. So this crab leaps into the air. So now this is like a crab the size of a city block jumping just off into the ocean, just offshore of Metropolis. So it's going to make this big tidal wave. Now, Superman's boyfriend and all of his new coworkers are aboard this boat. So this crab jumps and makes a tidal wave, and the boyfriend, who's this guy in this ridiculous mask here, he says he recognizes what's about to happen, and he orders everyone to get off the boat. So if you're in the middle of the ocean and it's going to be choppy water, I would think the only place you would want to be is at least on a boat. That's probably your best chance, because you're not going to swim and survive a tidal wave. So, but he orders everyone off the boat, and this is the end of this. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit so that we can find this scene that I'm looking for. So he's ordered everyone off the boat, and Superman starts racing through Metropolis to save everybody, and he's literally going through like a blur while the Gamora Corps are still fighting this stupid hermit crab. And here it is. So he makes this big sonic boom underwater, which somehow disrupts the tidal wave. Now, mind you, Superman could fly at hypersonic speeds, uses cold breath to freeze this wave. Kind of like the end of the second Incredibles movie, if you've seen that movie. But no, he does this, which works, kind of. It still floods Metropolis, and he has to go and save a bunch of people. And then his boyfriend is here, and he sees him, and he's like, I'm fine, do what you got to do. He was on a boat in the middle of the ocean. How is he here? How did he get here? What's happening? What am I doing this wrong? I don't understand. Does this character have a teleportation ability that we're just not familiar with? Whatever at this point. So anyway, so he's magically appeared on the shore somehow from his boat that was caught in a tidal wave to just being in the middle of the city. He's like, yeah, go fight the big hermit crab. We're going to be fine. And so the Gamorra Corps kind of get the upper hand finally, and maybe they find like a vulnerable spot that they start exploiting, and they're about to kill the thing, and then Superman shows up and he's like, no, don't do that. This creature shouldn't die, even though it's horrible and it's bad for the world that it's even here. And he lectures them again. There's that big index finger. He's pointing it right in their chest. You've got to do better. And lectures them about this creature's lived for thousands of years. It's not all right to kill it. So Superman and Aquaman, Jackson Hyde Aquaman here, they corral the creature out to sea, where real Aquaman shows up, Arthur Curry, and they say, well, there's plenty of room in the ocean. We'll probably find, a good place for this guy to be. And then Henry Bendix talks about his evil master plan, where he insists that all of the superheroes have really bogged down society and we shouldn't rely on them. And we need to forge our own future where humanity decides for itself what's going to protect us and what things are going to be. And that future is just more superhumans, but they're his superhumans that are on remote control. And so he introduces more of this Gamorra Corps stupidness that is going to be in a storyline going forward. And this reminded me that we've done this storyline before. This exact storyline happened. They were called the Mega Marines. They showed up in response to the Justice League, and it was the exact same story, where the governments didn't like to rely on the independent Justice League for their protection, so they created the Mega Marines, which were basically superhumans under control of the government. So this isn't even an original story, but that's a video for another day. So Superman and his boyfriend kind of have a little chat here after Superman had his cry fest about not being able to save everyone. And then the Gamorra Corps saying, well, you could have saved everyone had you just killed the crab, which it kind of got a point. Not to mention, that's a city block size crab. You probably could have fed a lot of hungry people. But he didn't, and he cried about it. And God, John Kent cries a lot. I don't think I've read a single issue of his book where he doesn't cry. So he decides to accept his boyfriend's job offer, and he's going to become a cyber hacktivist. They have a nice kiss, and now we have Jonathan Kent just adding to his resume of being the worst. He is a now cyber hacktivist, climate justice protesting, lectury, anti-military, pro-alien, crying, whiny, insufferable, miserable character. Once again, Jonathan Kent is the worst. So that's it. That's the dumb as a bag of Stephen Colbert plots of Superman Son of Kal-El number 8. So why do I keep doing this to myself? I keep doing this to myself because I like to think that this particular comic encapsulates a lot of the problems. Like if you were to list the problems that DC Comics has right now, and you were to take the top 5, those same words describe this book. This book is not fun. This book is preachy. This book is not creative. This book features a character that nobody likes. And this book is like, it's made for, who is the audience for this book? Seriously, who is this made for? Who wants to Jonathan Kent is like the guy that you know from school, or he knows someone in your circle of friends, and you go to great efforts to avoid this person. Why on earth would anybody want to keep up with this guy on a monthly basis? So it's just awful. And as I'm reading it, I kept asking myself, who is this for? Who is rooting for John Kent at this point? I found myself rooting for the crab, honestly. If he would have smashed John Kent, maybe one of the real, Kryptonian characters like Supergirl, somebody would have to show up and save the day. John Kent is just terrible. And then let's go into the writing the writing itself. It is not creative. Like I said, we're recycling tropes. We've seen this story before. We're just going through the Mega Marines again. And this time, we're just using Henry Bendix from Wildstorm to introduce them. Superman doesn't fight alien monsters anymore. He just kind of wants to understand them and help them. So Superman fighting a giant crab would have been a really fun comic book, honestly. I would have liked to have seen him kind of flying around and having to dodge pincers and everything else. That would have been cool. But no, Jonathan Kent doesn't deliver fun, exciting stories. Jonathan Kent delivers preachy, stupid stories that just kind of make you feel bad in the end. Like I said, normally you read a comic book to kind of escape the problems of the world. Jonathan Kent wants to remind you of all of them and how all of them are really just in one way or another the result of just straight human ignorance. And that is his point. That is the point of this comic. And I've been reading about the just absolute sales collapse of this book in particular in DC Comics as a whole. And they try to show that the issue where he actually comes out, which I believe was issue 6, had pretty big numbers sales wise, and it's mostly because a lot of shops ordered it because they figured a lot of people would buy it. But then the book tanked with issue 7 with issue 7 or 8, and there's just a tremendous amount of gaslighting going, and the fact that the writer is bragging about how that one issue sold so well because he brought him out just shows that you just did it for reasons of pandering. I mean, you didn't make him a gay character because you thought it was good for his storyline. You made him a gay character because you thought it would sell one book by getting a bunch of social media clicks. But unfortunately, we see the result of that. So yeah, the one book where you decide to play that card did well. But then every issue after that tanked because there's no reason for it. You created one key issue, but you didn't create a compelling story. You didn't create a good narrative. You didn't make it make sense within the narrative. You didn't make the love interest anyone wants to care about. You didn't do any of that. You didn't do any of the work. All you did was you took a trope, you took a gimmick, and you took the idea of being gay and made it a gimmick, and you just put it on this character. You did it to spike sales for one issue, and it didn't work because beyond that, you got nothing. I mean, it's all there on the cover of the comic. There's nothing in the pages that's compelling. There's nothing that's happening that makes me read that book and want to come back, and see what happens next. I always say that the hallmark of a good comic book is when the story resolves, it leaves you with more questions than answers, so you want to keep coming back. And this book does leave you with more questions than answers, but unfortunately the questions are kind of, who is this book for? Why am I reading this? What's happening in the world around me? Why doesn't this character use one of his 700 other abilities that he could use to get out of a problem? Why does he keep practically breaking the third wall, just to tell us breaking the fourth wall, just to lecture us on the issues of today, when all I really wanted to see was Superman fight a big alien or a big monster or something? So that's my review of Superman 8 and Superman Son of Kal-El number 8. And do you like this series? Do you want me to keep reviewing this book? Because at this point, I think I'm one of the only 4 people in America that are actually paying money, and I'm only doing it for these videos. So let me know in the comments below what you thought of my review. Let me know what you think of Superman Son of Kal-El as a whole. Not just the comic. Do you like the character? This character used to be a character I thought was fun when he was a kid, and then they aged him up, and now he's just the worst. So a lot of people like to trash this character because he's just, the quote-unquote the gay Superman. Has nothing to do with it. This book is bad, and this character is bad because every single fiber of him is terrible. So let's talk about that in the comments below. While you're down there, please hit like, subscribe, share this video. Help the channel grow. I really appreciate it. We've grown quite a bit over the last few months, and I appreciate every single one of you guys, and I'd love to have you a subscriber if you're not already, and I'm going to go ahead and leave it there, so I will talk to you in the next video. Thanks again. Bye.